Hey, what's up guys? Joker here. Ever since the rumors started circulating last week about the 1660 Ti being a GTX graphics card from the Turing architecture without RT and tensor cores, basically not an RTX card, the biggest question on everyone's mind, besides when it's going to come out, how much is it going to cost, is how's it going to perform? How much slower is it going to be than the $350 RTX 2060? So let's talk about that. Today's video is brought to you by LevelGo.com, where you could save money on games and software for your Windows 10 PC. And if you need a Windows 10 key, they've got you covered, where you can get a Windows 10 Pro key right now for just $15.75. Also, Microsoft Office 2016 for under $30, or 2019 Professional Plus for just under $60. And if you use my code JKL10 at checkout, you'll save 10% off your software purchase when you hit up LevelGo.com with the link down in the description below. Now, this benchmark performance that we currently have on the still rumored and leaked GTX 1660 Ti, which has no official confirmation yet coming out of NVIDIA, is courtesy of a benchmark that was databased on the ashes of the Singularity benchmark. The user who ran it was running it at 1080p on high settings with what says the GPU is the GeForce GTX 1660 Ti. As you see here, it doesn't say what the actual CPU is, but it is an Intel part. It's 8 cores, 16 threads, and it looks like it's using 16 gigabytes of memory. Now, it does say that the Intel CPU is only at 2.1 gigahertz, or at least that's what the CPU is registered as for the base, so I'm not really too sure what they're using there, or if that's a mistake on it. If it was a 9900K, this would definitely be a higher number, so I guess it's possible they could have been using an older Xeon part or something, unless, like I said, Ashes just doesn't really is not reading the CPU ID correctly. So based on that, just taking a look at it and the average frame rate and everything, we can see it's running a DX11, 1080p, and the preset is the high preset, got a score of 7400, and the average frame rate overall was 75.6. And if we go and compare that online to PC Perspective's numbers, who has a nice graph here over on their website, with the RTX 2060 review, you can see the RTX 2060 got 96.8 average FPS, and then going all the way down the line to get to 75, we'd actually have to come down to the 1060, so it looks like it's going to be somewhere between the 1060 and the RX 590, which is kind of unimpressive if I'm being honest, but keep in mind this was running at DirectX 11, so that number could come up maybe if they go over to DirectX 12, if Turing's a little bit better optimized for it, and also if they were using a slower CPU, certainly, that could have held back the graphics card as well. So if the CPU wasn't really holding it back at all and, everything was running optimally, if we're looking at 75.6 going to 96.8 FPS on the difference here, we're looking at a roughly 28% performance difference between an RTX 2060 and a 1660 Ti. And since this is just a benchmark and there are a variety of factors here that we just don't know yet, I would say that it's very likely that it could fall somewhere between 30 and 15% of a performance difference going between the 1660 Ti and the RTX 2060, which I think is reasonable as long as the price is in line with that. And we're looking at this coming out maybe around the $200 to $250 price point, which would basically replace the GTX 1060 and maybe be just a little bit faster than that. Next up, I wanted to talk about Metro Exodus, which is going to be launching next month and has now been updated over on the Steam page that is saying that it is going to actually be using Denuvo DRM, which is rather unfortunate. I've loved all the Metro games. This is one of the titles that's actually meant to be coming out with ray tracing support. We're still waiting for that in Shadow of the Tomb Raider, unfortunately, and we don't know if this is going to have it right at launch, but this is one of the titles that NVIDIA pushed heavily in all of the original launch information for RTX cards. Basically, it was Battlefield 5, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and Metro Exodus. So I think a lot of us are excited to see ray tracing features in Metro Exodus, to benchmark it, obviously, as the Metro games have traditionally just been a benchmark in their own right for how brutal they are to run. Like, some of the most intensive games to come out in the last 10-15 years have traditionally been Crysis games and also the Metro games, which at the time when they came out, whether it was the first Metro 2033 or Metro Last Light, they would pretty much just melt your graphics card if you turned up all of the settings. They used advanced PhysX. So, they have a long-standing partnership with NVIDIA and using their cutting-edge tech like advanced PhysX in their games, and I don't know if that's going to return here, but they are pushing for ray tracing, and I'm really looking forward to this game and seeing how it can run with ray tracing and if it's necessary. Obviously, with something like Battlefield 5, it doesn't really feel as necessary for multiplayer, but in a game like Metro, where it's very atmospheric and you're really taking your time and you get to kind of experience the game world that the developers have made, I think something like this lends itself a lot better to ray tracing, so I'm definitely looking forward to checking it out. That game is meant to be coming out on February 15th, so that'll probably be one of the first titles we actually benchmark here in 2019 as a new game release for a PC performance review. Another game that I definitely want to test is the System Shock Remake, which has been talked about over the past few years, and as a fan of the very first System Shock, I've been looking forward to this. I played one of the early builds where they basically just had a room that you could walk around in, and the performance was definitely not fantastic at the time. It was very stuttery, but the game has come along a lot now, and now they're in what they're calling the pre-alpha stage, and you can see by the gameplay footage on your screen that the graphics are just looking absolutely insane. So I don't really have any news on System Shock except for this new video, and I just wanted to share it with you because when I was watching it earlier, I was just ogling the graphics and like, oh my god, this game looks absolutely amazing, and I cannot wait for it to come out. So yeah, I'll have links down below to the sources if you want to go check out the System Shock video or anything else that we talked about here in this video today. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video or learned something new, don't forget to hit the thumbs up or subscribe if you're not already. And yeah, we'll ring the notification bell if you've been here for a while, all that good stuff. And I will see you guys tomorrow for another video. Ta-ra.